What's up, gamers? Matt with That's Fair Podcasting, and I want to take a little bit of time and talk about an upcoming sci-fi RPG video game I'm sincerely looking forward to, probably the most out of all the games coming up, save for GTA 6, of course. And this game is called Exodus, and the developing company is called Archetype Entertainment. And the beauty of this is, given the state of the video game industry, especially AAA titles that it's currently in, a couple of former BioWare developers have jumped ship and now are part of Archetype Entertainment as they're overseeing this upcoming video game Exodus, making it to where I think the industry needs this game very bad. The video game I'm talking about is called Exodus, and this is what is known so far. Before I get started, guys, if you would please take the time, maybe subscribe to That's Fair Podcasting, maybe like the video to help us in that algorithm, and if not, if you just stayed to watch the video by chance, that's really all that matters to me. I sincerely appreciate it. It means the world to me, and thank you so much for joining me. Now, Exodus so far. Let's start with Archetype Entertainment, the video game company that was founded in 2019. It is ran by James Ohlen, who is the head of the entire developing team, who was formerly of BioWare, and then Chad Robertson, who's the VP and Studio General Manager, also formerly of BioWare. And these are people that worked on the Mass Effect trilogy, so I think what we're going to get in Exodus is a great sci-fi RPG experience. And what I've got to tell you about the story so far, to me, it sounds phenomenal. Kind of has a hint of Mass Effect Andromeda, but only the beginning, nothing that it has to offer after. That's the beauty of it. First of all, let's start off with the trailer. If you don't get a Mass Effect vibe, old school style, from that trailer, I don't know what to tell you. I got a Mass Effect vibe, and I think we're all going to get something very similar with a new, modernized engine. Everything is going to be upgraded. Everything's going to be better, but I think we're going to get a great RPG sci-fi experience from Archetype Entertainment, and I cannot wait. So far, though, the release is unknown. But some have rumored possibly the end of 2025, could be out to 2026, but it could be even later. We don't know, but let's hope maybe 2026 is a hopeful reach, and it could be. But the story of Exodus so far, let's start off in the year 2200 AD, where the Earth is dying, and it forces humanity basically to flee a dying Earth in order to find a new habitable system or systems, so to speak, out there, so humans can actually thrive and survive. Now, fast forward, ultimately they find what's called the Centauri cluster. And fast forward up to 18,000 AD, so you're looking at almost 16,000 years into the future. After traveling, they find the Centauri cluster, and these massive arcs, they all start arriving at this point in time. In the Centauri cluster, habitable planets begin to be colonized. There is other arcs ultimately summoned in, and this starts a uprising, so to speak, of societies and empires. Once these habitable planets are found, these other arcs come in, and humans start to habit these planets, and like I said, societies and empires begin to rise. Now, over a period of thousands of years, I'd say, as you know, empires throughout this period of time, after finding these planets, the empires rise and fall, and then humans start to evolve into these transhumans that are called Celestials. Now, Celestials, they split into basically over a dozen other of their own divergent species ultimately, and branch out into their own type of species. And violence begins to erupt, and in 28,000 AD, it becomes known as what is called the Formation Wars. Now, during this Formation War, new arcs still are arriving with humanity aboard. And these arcs, ultimately, given the nature of the wars between the divergent Celestials, these arcs are forced to flee to other smaller outlying planets. Although habitable, not quite what they wanted ultimately, because there's too much chaos and war going on. Now, for over 2,000 years, these formation wars rage on and on. And there are celestials known as the Elohim. I'm not sure, but it's spelled Elohim. These celestials begin to rise to power, and they more or less they created technology, and they're able to start linking every system within this entire galaxy, so to speak. And these Elohim, they grant peace and prosperity for about 5,000 years. The Elohim also begin to create technology that allows them to move these habitable planets to other systems, unexplored systems. These celestials are able to create this technology that literally moves these planets into all these other systems. Now, I'm not sure how much of the story is going to take place centered around one planet called Lydon. In 41,500 AD, now we are, with all the wars and the humans finding colonizations and empires rising and falling, literally 39,000 years have passed. Now you're at 41,500 AD, and this one long lost human ark finally arrives. Orlan Aslan is the leader and savior of this ark, and he's also known as what's called a traveler. And travelers are who traverse the deep space to recover celestial technology to aid the society on the planet Lydon. That's what travelers do. They go beyond the far reaches of space, bringing back celestial technology and better, advance their own humanity upon the planet Lydon. Now, having said that, the Aslan dynasty is ultimately formed. Aslan by Orlan. Orlan Aslan forms this called the Aslan dynasty over the planet Lydon. Now, where this is supposed to more or less take place in the game, Orlan disappears, and players will control who is called Jun, Jun, Aslan, as they are traveling through the far reaches of space and time, finding ancient ruins, interacting with new alien species. And I don't know if it's ultimately to find Orlan or not, but being as that is your relative, I'm thinking that that's what's ultimately going to take place in, literally, you're the traveler. So it's going to be taking place in this universe. And players will be outmatched, outnumbered, constantly calling upon and relying on not only combat, but stealth and decision-making. Key decision-making, like we're used to in the Mass Effect series, is key in this one. Archetype Entertainment's really bringing out a deep story, so I hope you're able to kind of follow along with me as I'm kind of pulling off cheat sheets and everything. But this story is a deep story. Obviously, it takes human arcs to other habitable planets because Earth has died out. Again, humans ultimately evolve in what are called celestials, and these celestials, these transhumans, they branch out into many of their own divergent species. Wars erupt between these species. And, ultimately, what it means is Exodus is going to take place. Most likely, you're going to pick your gender, male or female, as your Jun Aslan. And I think that, you've got to go on this journey. And I think the journey's ultimately, like most Mass Effects would do, anything BioWare would do, you're going to have side quests. This journey's going to be more than meets the eye. But anyway, and like Mass Effect, Exodus will have faithful companions that you can make along the way. There might be loyalty missions or might not, who knows, but a lot of it is along the lines of a Mass Effect. This story is really exciting to me, and I hope that you guys find this exciting as well. But let's look out for Exodus. Hopefully it's 2026 sometime, although some rumors have said 2025. I don't think we're going to get it that early. No release date's been released, and there's been no other trailer. But anyway, guys, that's really all I have. Thank you so much for joining me. The story arc in Exodus, I think, is going to be phenomenal as we play the Aslan family, ultimately upon the long-lost ark, and we reach the planet Lydon, and we're trying to basically, or it could be Lydon, Lidon, and we're trying to, we colonize this planet, and ultimately, I think this story could branch out into several sequels, hopefully. But anyway, I think Archetype Entertainment's on the right track. But anyway, guys, I know it was kind of a scrambled story, but I hope you stuck with me. And if you did, thank you so much for joining me. It really means the world to me. Please, again, if you don't mind, subscribe to That's Fair Podcasting. Maybe like the video to help get us more clicks. And, thank you for the latest subscribers to jump on. Again, it really means the world to me. And to you gamers, as I always say, all love. And I'm outro.